It's December 27th, 2018. There's some interesting new statements from Rudy Giuliani calling out the FBI's Robert Mueller. Has been regularly attacking Trump, running this witch hunt that President Trump has described it as in his special counsel investigation. Giuliani is looking at the misconduct of Mueller's team and the obvious bias. We had yet another example, and I'm just going to look at this article from today. I did one video recently on this recent update, further showing the bias, saying that Mueller's team had wiped two devices, one by fired FBI agent Peter Strzok and another one that was owned by Lisa Page. So that came out just a few days ago. DOJ watchdog was unable to recover Peter Strzok's text messages during Mueller tenure. Department of Justice investigators, they say, were unable to recover text messages that Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, these are these two anti-Trump FBI agents. You likely saw something about these text messages that they were sending back and forth saying that they are going to stop Trump from becoming president. They were saying during the election, Strzok and Lisa Page, very obviously pro-Hillary, anti-Trump, and yet they were both originally picked, or Strzok was supposed to be on the team, on Mueller's team in this Trump investigation. So that was obviously not right, given his bias. He has been fired, but people are still asking more questions about Strzok. And adding to the questions now is the fact that they have just in the last few days, based on this most recent report, they're adding that Mueller's team wiped thousands of additional messages that probably would have given us more info on Strzok as well. This is according to a recent OIG report. The iPhones that were issued by the special counsel's office to Strzok and Page, so the FBI issued iPhones to both these anti-Trump FBI agents, were reset after they left the special counsel probe in July of 2017, making it impossible to retrieve text messages sent and received on those devices. They reset both phones back to factory settings, they're saying in those reports. So that came out a few days ago. Giuliani's were reacting to this just in the last few hours. These are some interesting quotes from former Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Says the special counsel Robert Mueller needs to be investigated for destruction of FBI evidence. In the one video that I did on this talking about it, regular comment that I got, people saying, how is this not obstruction? People saying it looks like Mueller is guilty of obstruction here in deleting this evidence that President Trump would probably want to have made public. So President Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, is saying that Mueller should be investigated for this destruction. Said this in an interview with The Hill. Recent interview, he referencing these new reports that Mueller's office had allowed text messages from former FBI employees Peter Strzok and Lisa Page to be destroyed. So Mueller's office allowed these messages to be destroyed. Giuliani levied harsh accusations at the special counsel. So he's harshly criticizing Mueller's office, saying that Mueller should be investigated for the destruction of evidence for allowing those text messages from Strzok to be erased, messages that would show the state of mind and tactics of his lead anti-Trump FBI agent at the start of his probe. The Inspector General of the DOJ revealed in a report this month, so this is the recent news Giuliani's basing these statements on, when the Inspector General of the DOJ recently revealed that it found large gaps in text message records between Strzok and Page. Large sections of these messages were missing. The top FBI agents in charge of investigating both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump during the 2016 U.S. election. Of note, the two agents harbored extreme animus against then candidate Trump while supporting Hillary Clinton, bias which the DOJ claims never made its way into their work. After Strzok was kicked off the special counsel investigation, following the discovery of these anti-Trump text messages, some of them, again, saying that they will straight out stop Trump from becoming president, that was their plan. Those messages sent between Strzok and Page. After Strzok was kicked off the special counsel investigation following this discovery of these messages, Mueller's records officer then scrubbed Strzok's iPhone after determining, and this was their excuse, they said after determining that it contained no substantive text messages. So that was the reason that they gave it for deleting these thousands of messages without revealing what was contained in them. So people calling this out, people have been talking about this for the last over a week now, pointing to one specific section from the report and basically summarizing it, saying so Mueller's team wiped all of the data off of Peter Strzok's iPhone after determining it contained no substantive text messages. Given what we know about Strzok, this smells like quite the cover-up. Is it time for Congress to step in? One commenter is asking, saying, I'm sure you're all super shocked to find out that Lisa Page's phone was also scrubbed. There's another section from the report he is quoting. Somebody else summarizing what's happening here, basically saying that Strzok texts, this FBI agent has texted that he will stop Trump. Then Strzok texts that the New York Times is upset about the Washington Post scoop. Strzok then texts Page about an insurance policy. Mueller then smashes their phones with a virtual hammer. Go on how you're concerned about corruption, obstruction of justice, and collusion. So he's implying that it seems like that is what Mueller was doing to cover up for his team. And the anti-Trump bias, again, Hillary Clinton, seems like the FBI has been working for Clinton, working to do everything that they can, the deep state, to cover up for the email investigation, these other Clinton investigations. So another quote says that should be investigated. Damn it, that should be investigated fully. You want a special counsel, get one for that. When pressed about whether he thought the deleting of these messages was intentional and not just a mistake, so they asked Giuliani if he thought it was possibly a mistake or if it is definitely intentional. That's what it seems like. But Giuliani, in response, alluded to the infamous deletion of a Watergate tape by President Richard Nixon's loyal secretary a half-century earlier, saying that it's actually worse than Rosemary Woods. He explained she erased less than 19 minutes of conversation, but the FBI got rid of more than 19,000 messages. And the messages from the time that Strzok and Page worked for Mueller are lost forever. This specific period of time, you would, if you were trying to do a proper investigation, be sure to hold on to those messages in particular. It's a very critical period of time in the Mueller investigation, and conveniently, they are lost forever. Giuliani is pointing that out. Giuliani said that the Russia probe investigators also should be investigated for using the Christopher Steele dossier, which he called a piece of garbage, to justify a search warrant on a Trump advisor without telling the court it was paid for by Hillary Clinton's campaign and the Democratic Party. Do I think that that is improper? Yeah, that borders on, that sounds to me a lot more like a false statement than some of the ones they charged, he said, referring to Mueller's team. So obvious double standard. There's been other instances too, things that people have been targeted for or charged in some cases by Mueller, yet people on the other side. I would also include the Podesta's name, just me personally. There's a lot of other names that I would include from Clinton's team as well. That seems like there's a clear double standard with Mueller going on. Giuliani continued to knock Mueller and his team for what he claims are false statements by former Trump attorney Michael Cohen. He talked about Cohen as well, saying that during Cohen's sentencing several weeks ago on charges mostly unrelated to the Trump campaign, he just lied the other day. He told the judge, "I was fiercely loyal to Donald Trump." No, he wasn't. He taped him secretly while he was supposedly fiercely loyal. He hid it and he disclosed it, said Giuliani, adding that Mueller's team, the team's failure to stand up during sentencing and correct Cohen's lie is unethical in and of itself. Making a false statement to a court, even a lawyer, you've to correct it. And I guess his argument is probably that they just went ahead and let that happen to try to make the president look bad just by leaving it open, basically being very misleading about it. Giuliani had finally added, there's one final quote just closing off here, saying that the Mueller probe has traveled well beyond its original mandate. He said that Mueller's current focus on whether Trump friends were communicating with WikiLeaks outside the campaign about hacked Hillary Clinton emails shows just how far astray the probe had gone. We're now 4 degrees of separation from the original mandate of the investigation, which was collusion, which did not occur. That's originally what they said they were looking for. When asked whether Mueller should be the last special prosecutor ever appointed by the Justice Department, Giuliani hedged, "I never like to say never, but I must say I have great pause after seeing the abuses in this investigation. The FBI," he added, "still needs to rehabilitate itself from the damage done by missteps in the Russia probe." Giuliani has said that he believed that 99% of the FBI agents were doing their job, but that a small group of FBI politicians had improperly hijacked the Russia probe during fired Director James Comey's tenure. The former New York City mayor added that he doesn't know if FBI Director Christopher Wray will help right the wrongs from the Russia probe. Of Wray, Giuliani has said that, "I'm uncertain because I haven't heard anything from him. The first way you fix problems is by acknowledging them." So that's interesting as well, saying that he hasn't heard anything from FBI Director Wray. I know people he's been kind of a question mark a little bit, Director Wray, for some people as well. So that's interesting. That's the just closing of that article. So I did one video on this previously. You can check back just to go into a little bit further, but I just wanted to talk about, again, the new statements from Giuliani. Seems to be pretty interesting, and some pretty harsh criticism of Mueller. A lot of people, again, even a couple weeks ago when this first came out, immediately were saying, this is obstruction. How is Mueller not guilty of obstruction here? So I will continue to follow up, and let me know what you think. I do have a link to the original article in the video description and a link to my Patreon account, patreon.com/realityreader. Thanks everybody that supported the channel over there. A couple dollars makes a huge difference, helps me keep talking about these issues. Patreon.com/realityreader. I also have a PayPal link. And yes, the original article you can look at in full. Leave a comment, tell me what you think. I'll follow up soon. Thank you.